Hello, guys. Welcome to another topic of Train the Trainers. In this case, we have agenda creation and sessions outline, so I hope you enjoy it. And the very big disclaimer about this that this agenda creation is very useful for induction days, LCCs, but it's also should come very handy for LC meetings and any other kind of sessions where we need to like have an agenda and a flow and so on. So I hope you enjoy it and you can use it in different situations. When it comes to agenda creation, there is the why, of course, we need to have an agenda for an event. Is of course to organize the content that needs to be delivered in the during the conference or event. Also, it helps us determine what it is the journey that the members will go through, like what are the different things that they are going to be seeing, and etc. It helps us to shape the behaviors and mindsets because if we organize the things we will deliver in a certain way, we can contribute to that journey that we were mentioning before that will lead to one outcome, let's say. And also because it allows us to turn the event or the conference into an experience and not only just another random conference. Because if we're able to organize the content in a innovative way, if we can make sure that it makes sense, that it's enjoyable for the people, and also they can get something, it can turn into so much more than just a conference. Then in the PDF, you will have access to the source for some tips on how to build a perfect conference agenda. But of course, there is a lot of materials in Google that you can research a lot more about. When it comes to the how, of course, it's divided into before, during, and after, and the most part comes in the before. Because before creating an agenda, we need to understand what's the current state of our LC in terms of operations, back office, what we are implementing, what we are not implementing, um, how is the plan versus achieved, if we are growing or not growing, the strategies that are in place. All of this will give us a broader perspective into the work that we are doing. And also, we need to understand what's the current mood of the membership of RLC, like what are they thinking, feeling, and so on. And one very cool tool that we can use for this is Empathy Map that I will show you here. This is an example. So basically, we just need to gather as many people from EB as possible, and even if you want, you can invite MD Commission. And the idea is that basically you have to put in post-its or just write in a piece of paper what are those things that members are hearing, thinking, or feeling, seeing, saying, and doing, and what are the pains and the gains. So, what are the good things they get from being in ISEC and the bad ones they get. This is an activity that is very often done with customers of different companies. So, we can also do this with our customers, for example, when it comes to operational areas, but it's very useful also to do it with our members. Um, because in that way we will know like what is the mood that we need to set for them. Also, it's very important that you consider the logistics. So, where is the conference going to take place, or the LC meeting? Even what's the weather going to be like, because it might affect also like the mood of the members if they're going to be late or not, and so on. So, if you can even get to that detail, it will be helpful. Um, and especially what it affects the most is the timing, because sometimes we don't take into consideration the moving between one session and another, or we do, but it's not enough. So always take logistics into consideration. Also, for example, like lunches and dinner, it needs to be arranged in advance. During the creation, of course, it's very important that you validate and ask feedback from your EBs, from other EBs, from the MC. You ask GCPs. You can check all agendas and sessions from local conferences, national conferences, and outputs are usually super available. And ask for like those crazy ideas that there are even sometimes in like international conferences, and it will give like very added value to your conference. And when it comes to after creation, there is something very useful that you can do that it's actually assigning one person to each track. For example, if you're getting feedback from your EB, you can assign the different people from your EB to put themselves in the place of the members, the team leaders, and the VPs. They can like read the agenda and go through the objectives and everything, and they can give feedback like more accurately on how would each track feel and understand the sessions as they go through the days. So that's a cool thing to put into to take into consideration, as well as of course setting a deadline to implement all the feedback, because usually we tend to give the feedback but then we forget to actually put it in place. Yes, when it comes to what, first of all, we have the theme and the blocks. So once that you did all of the investigation, like what's the current state and where we're standing, we should choose a theme that should be based on the main message or behavior that you want delegates to have after the conference or the event. Then, according to all the knowledge that you want to pass and all of the things that you want to tackle in the conference, you can also decide what are going to be the blocks. Usually, it's done by days. So, as you remember from past conference, for example, we used to have like speak, think, do because we have 3 days. So you can do something similar in the local level. When it comes to objectives, the conference must have an objective. Many times it's something related to results. So, for example, it's a conference to boost the winter peak or the summer peak, or it can also be a conference that is inductional. So, it is to welcome all of the new members and to prepare the team leaders that are going to be leading all those new members. But it can have different objectives, and it will always depend on the timeline or where we're standing, but usually it's related to boosting summer peak or winter peak. Um, and it can be both for the experience part or the consideration part. So it's either we need to teach people and prepare them to do a great experience and to know all the standards and so on, or we need them to be good sellers and we need to make sure that they will be able to convert all of our opens and our signups into approvals. Of course, when you're thinking about the objectives for each session, if you already have an idea of what you want the session to be like, feel free to put it there because usually you are helping the fastest if you already have an idea. And because many times you are basing the whole agenda into an idea that you have from one session. So don't feel afraid to actually try to put some sessions like already kind of done because if your idea is worth it, then the fastest can adapt and deliver that specific session. And of course, that each session must have a clear objective. So, what do we want to get from each session? Like, we want the members to understand the concept, or we want them to actually put their hands to work and understand how something works, or we actually want to make them get a result. So, it's going to be like something like 5 minutes of marketing or an action space. And of course, the ones that we decided the objective and everything. We can think of the type of sessions and global learning environments. The global learning environments you will see in one of the other topics with Agata. When it comes to the types of session, it's actually something that you can influence a lot as a person who is creating the agenda. Because, for example, lately we have been using the concept of having a keynote to begin each day with, or, for example, the concept of the commercial. So it's like introducing a topic but in a funnier way. So you can also think what you want the sessions to look like. Do you want like long session with a lot of content that the members need to learn, or do you want something like short that will be catchy and will make them laugh about it? So it will depend because all of these things like are things to choose from. So you also can take that into consideration. When it comes to sessions outline, I would say it's very important. This is an example of what we use, and it's basically a checklist for each session. So once you have each session, you can put the goal of the objective that we were talking about before. You can put it here. Um, and then the fuzzy is the person that can actually start playing with the rest of the things. So, what's the key message that the members are going to get during the session? What are the changes that I can observe in the delegates? What is the emotional state of the delegate after the session? This is super connected to the empathy map we did before because if we are in a conference where we want everyone to be super optimistic and action oriented, then we need to make sure that in all of our sessions there will be something that will be actionable, and this part can be very handy. Um, and for example, here the question is how does your session relate to the word of the day? But it can be the topic, the block, or anything. And it's important so as not to lose the thread of the day and how people are actually following the one topic that we want to introduce. In the flow, of course, one can start writing what are the different things that are going to happen in each part of the session. So you can also divide the time here. And there is also an option to add in a wow effect. So what's that one thing that people are going to remember from your session? Yes, so that was it for the topic of today. I hope that it was useful and that you can take into consideration for creating the agendas of your next conferences and also LC meetings and meetings in general. So that's it. Have a great time, and we'll be in touch.